Hey friends, Wayne over at the Ram Man. Gonna give a little lesson on driveline components. Up until about the 90s, all four-wheel drives came with locking hubs. They all came with that because the manufacturers knew that it was ludicrous to keep that axle engaged. But when they went to the unit-bearing hubs, most of the manufacturers, as a matter of fact, all of them except for Ford, that's why Ford still got them on the Super Duty, they got rid of locking hubs and quietly passed it on to the consumer. And so that's where your driveline wear comes in, lower gas mileage and such and such. The spline design is spline and has a nut. Let me tell you something in the axle. This still has some movement when you turn. It can't be rigid and have any movement. I want you to think about the other end of this. The other end of this spline inner axle, it just slides into the carrier. It just slides into the carrier. There is nothing to prevent it moving. When you turn that steering knuckle off, it pulls on this stub shaft ever so slightly, 20 thousandths, 30 thousandths, depending on the angle, it gets slightly longer. It has to move. There has to be a little bit of movement. It's called axle inplay. You know, they use axle inplay on the rear axles. There's a little bit of play because of centrifugal force. Remember that? When you rotate something, it wants to go outwards. That's why you have thrust inplay on a camshaft. That's why you have it on a crankshaft. Those two components in engines are not held rigid so that they can't move at all because they would destroy the block. There's a little bit of movement. And there's a little bit of movement here. So that the axle can float back and forth just a little bit. A little bit of axle float doesn't hurt anything. That's why with locking hubs, you can't have a nut by design or anything to hold it rigid. There's no clip or nut. There's no clip or nut. Somebody that understands locking hubs from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they understand. New people today, people that never even seen locking hubs, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't have any information, and they don't have any input. When you move this, it changes distance a little bit. What you can't change is the distance from here to there, or it wouldn't bolt up. Factory Jeep shafts, these are spec'd out to factory Jeep, and these are factory hubs. We've kept all the dimensions the same. Here's what most people don't understand. We haven't done anything new. All we've done is taken past knowledge and just transferred it right here. That's all we've done. We've got these things running around everywhere. Matter of fact, we can't make them fast enough. Now, so, the whole system is designed to have a little bit of float. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of movement. What's that gonna hurt? What's that gonna do? Now, I want you to remember something. This is just sitting there. Just like that. When your hubs are disengaged, 99.99999% of every four-wheel drive vehicle, less than about 10 miles using the four-wheel drive, this stub shaft is sitting there. Just like that pin. There's nothing wrong with it sitting there. It's not going to bother anybody. It's not going to hurt anything. Neither's this. Because they're not physically connected. Centrifugal force, when you apply power to this and you rotate it, it's going to want to go outward. It's just simple physics. And it'll go outward up against the flange like it's set, the factory distance. And that's one of the reasons that seal's on there and that seal's there. Now, the way we designed it, you can pull this cap off and use your red straw and grease this inner bearing at will, if you would like. So, anyway, I think you'll find in every service manual that there ever was that if you submerge your axle at minimum, there's no tight seal. There's no watertight seal on axles, never has been. They always tell you at bare minimum drain the fluid. A lot of them want you to completely disassemble the thing. Of course, nobody's ever done that. No, they don't do that. So, don't make a problem before there's a problem. And don't ask why planes fly if you don't understand, but they do. People can also go over 50 miles an hour. Did you know in the early days, all the doctors said a human couldn't go over 50 miles an hour in an automobile because he couldn't breathe? People said we couldn't go to the moon either. Anyway, don't make a problem before there's a problem. God bless you. God bless America. And happy trucking.